My question is, why do we even need mics?
Uh,
Like, I'm sorry, but like, I just feel like they make us sound worse.
I listened to old episodes, girl, and they did not sound good. No, it's because we didn't have
Ugh,
what's this called again?
the Scarlet,
No,
the
general
audio interface.
audio interface.
I just
Oh,
don't
I
think
bet all of the
that's true.
boys are peeing in their pants.
Your like voice is like in my ear.
I, Savannah Spring, hereby request Josh Ovalle for a collaboration with the Internet is Dead podcast. Please, Josh, be a guest on the podcast. We miss you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Internet is Dead podcast. Today we're joined by Savannah Spring, aka I'm Not Savannah. I personally watched you on Vine like when I was younger. I think in elementary school or something, which is crazy.
What?
Or like whatever age that was. I think it was elementary school,
I
right?
think it was. How old
'Cause
are you
you're-
now?
I was 14 when I started. I'm 26 now.
Okay, then
Okay.
yeah, elementary school.
Yeah, because I'm 3 years younger than you, so
That's what, yeah. I
yeah,
think
that's insane.
I wasn't allowed access to the internet till I was like 8th grade. But that also was like
Whoa.
when like phones, like iPhones, like really, my dog's about to bust this door down. I'm sorry.
It's
And
okay.
he's gonna get on the bed right here probably.
Aw.
Yeah, I don't, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it though.
I think I found you because you very much were vocal about One Direction and Fifth Harmony on there. And I was in those fandoms, and Samira
Mhm.
was in like One Direction fandom. So we
Yeah.
both were like aware of you. And like, I don't know. I think it's cool that that's how a lot of people probably found you too. Cause it was very just like, I think people were very intertwined at the time by fandoms.
Yeah, I always say like, because whenever people will be like, well, what did you even make? And I'm like, you don't get it. It was so niche. It was just like a community. They were like, you made One Direction vines. I'm like, you don't get it. But like, we were like
Literally.
a community. Like that's what it was. Like, I feel like I wasn't known outside of that, which I kind of liked because it was just like a community of
Yeah.
all like stands, which was fun.
Well, I feel like a lot of people of that kind of Vine era were also on there, at least coming from fandom. Because I remember
Yeah.
like Dana also came from Fifth Harmony
Yeah.
fandom. I just remember like appreciating like seeing other people like a little bit older than me, especially girls who
Mhm.
I could look up to and be like, oh, they also love these bands and act
Yeah.
crazy.
That was, yeah, that's really true. I never thought about that because like I remember at some point because I was only making like One Direction stuff, I was like, well, shit. So I start making like other stuff because like people were kind of starting to watch me. And this is I wasn't embarrassed of it, but I was like, I guess I can start making other jokes besides like, I don't know, reacting to One Direction videos.
No, that is kind of sweet. I just thought of this as you were talking, Brittany, how like you were in the Fifth Harmony fandom and I was in One Direction, and then it was kind of like both of our worlds colliding.
True.
They did collide.
Crazy. Yeah.
And then with the Five Sauce too. Like I feel like
Mhm.
that all together just like sat as one.
Well, all the fandoms were just kind of in that same world. Like One
Mhm.
Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, Little Mix, Fifth Harmony,
Oh my God.
Ariana, like all
Yeah.
of them were just, yeah, it was so funny.
I am curious for you to talk about how you, because you just mentioned that you didn't have access to an iPhone until 8th grade. So I'm
No.
curious about what coming on social media looked like for you. And also, was it more of like how a lot of people get on it in the way of looking for
Mhm.
community where it's not really present in your physical reality?
You know, it's so funny before this because I'm an anxious freak. Like there's my dog, his name's Klaus, sorry.
Aw.
Um, why did I type up a timeline? And I was like looking up like
Aw.
I like he's nesting. I like
Aw.
pulled up a One Direction timeline like of every single because like that's like what I can like go off of times like oh this music
Yeah,
video released that's when I did this like
No, same. Yeah.
that's
That's like how I
insane.
am. That's how I
Yeah.
am with just like life events. Like I look
yeah.
back at my middle school days and I'm like, okay, this happened at the time. This music
Mhm.
video came out at the time. They said
Yes.
this on Twitter. Like this drama was happening at this point. Like it's so funny.
Because I like I guess I can get into that. So like, yeah, I wasn't allowed access. Like, I feel like I don't know. I was gonna say maybe iPhones came around like when I was in 8th, 7th grade, I think. And like I
Mm.
was not have a phone. My dad was weird. So like, I don't know. I was not have a phone. And then when I was in 8th grade, I like got an iPod Touch. And I would like pretend it's my phone. But
Yeah.
mine wasn't around then. So that was like 2012. I was still in 8th grade. Um, Okay, so I found One Direction first before I did Vine. Because what
Did you
makes
just
me
check the timeline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
literally have
awesome.
Aw.
One Direction. Vine was released on. Vine was because like I just mixed it up. But I
Yeah.
like that's the thing. I like blacked out during this time period. I don't even know. I'm like, I don't even believe half the stuff I did. So I found One Direction first, and I would like steal my dad's laptop in 8th grade. So I was like, what, 12? I was always like a year younger than my grade. So I was like still pretty young in high school. I think I was like 13 or 14.
Mm.
And then I like found One Direction because it's like they just got off of X Factor, and that summer they released What Makes You Beautiful. So like I hopped on that train pretty fast, and then I like made like a secret Instagram, a secret like Facebook, and then I got into Wattpad. It's so funny because I work for like a reading app now.
Oh my God, really?
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And it's just like it's for like indie authors, which is super cool. But
Mm.
it's like it's very Wattpad coded.
That's
It's
so
just
funny.
That's really
it's
funny.
so funny how like I don't know, it progressed. Yeah, I got into like Wattpad and all that first, and then I was a freshman, and Vine was released my freshman year, like around January.
Mm.
And I feel like it was still brand new. Like I don't know when you guys downloaded it, but like I said, like I got an iPod Touch, and then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get every single social media and go nuts because at this
Yeah.
point I was on Stan Twitter, and I think I was like already recording like just crazy videos of me reacting to things and posting it online. And I was like, wait, maybe I can start putting them on Vine. So I put them on
Mm.
Vine, and there wasn't a lot of people on there that like spring. That's why Sydney Okay was like one of the first accounts I found, like my friend Sydney.
Mm.
Um, and that was really funny just because we both had like 100 followers. Like we were OGs for a while.
Aw,
Wait, that's
And
sweet because she also like kind of blew up too.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, she was huge. Like she was, I mean, her and Dana were like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you, Dana, Sydney were all the girls on Vine who I looked up to so much. Especially, I think the age gap was like the perfect kind of like, I'm gonna like idolize
Yeah.
these people age because they're just a little bit older than me, but like old enough where like at the time, like 3 years really mattered, you know?
Yeah. But like, see, that scares me because if we were like, oh, I looked up, you, I'm like, girl, if you look like you needed help back then because I needed help.
Well, we all did. Like the internet made us all
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was the thing too. Like when I went to like only like a couple events for like social media, but like I was the youngest kid there. Like me,
Mm.
Sydney, and Dana. Like and then like these adults were like, who the fuck are these kids running around? Like, like
Aw.
why are they here? Because they didn't know who we were because it was such like a I don't know, like the younger crowd liked us and like I don't know,
Mm.
some
Yeah.
bigger viners and stuff like that. And then my freshman year, I think I like maybe had 5,000 followers towards the end of the summer. No, towards the end of the summer. And like no one knew who I was, which is great for my school. And then like going into my sophomore year, people started like kind of messing, I don't know, like following me and like kind of like
Mm.
leaving comments like, what the hell? And that's where I'm Not Savannah came from because I was like, I made it I'm Not kind of as like a, I don't know, just being like, can you back off? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
Savannah, but I obviously don't want you to see this. It made sense in my head.
And I feel like those were like the style of usernames at the
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah, definitely.
And like, yes, I was just trying to separate myself. And then going in my sophomore year, I remember going into school, like everyone knew at this point. I think I had like 10K. And that's when I was like, fuck. Like, I guess like this is happening. I guess like I am making videos online. I still hadn't told my dad because I wasn't allowed to have any internet
Oh.
thing. And then I guess like people started saying stuff to him, and he was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, and then he like, I guess Googled me. This is the funniest story. He like Googled me, and my Tumblr came up. And you know, like the NARS blush orgasm, like the color. I
Yeah.
Yes.
like reblogged a picture of it. My dad was like, "Why are you reblogging orgasm and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Dad, you just don't get it. Like it's just me."
Like, there's no way I can explain this to you and make it sound normal, but it is normal.
It
Oh,
made so
that's
much sense.
funny.
I was like, "You just don't get it, and you won't get it." And I don't. And I remember I got into a lot of trouble for
Mm.
that. And then like I was bad. I just kept doing it, like posting online. Like I didn't have a lot of like I didn't pay attention to me that much, like monitoring what I did.
Mm.
So yeah, sophomore year. I forgot what the question was. I just keep talking. I
Well,
think
no,
No,
no.
you're
Well,
good.
I was gonna say, I feel like that was like also a time where parents especially didn't really get what social media,
Yeah.
especially like social media, like stardom or whatever, like
Yeah.
could really mean or what it could lead to. Because I remember people not taking it seriously as careers like very early on. And like
Yeah.
now it like people get it. Like I think like it's like known enough for people to understand it. But originally I was just asking what led you to social media.
Not to pull the dead mom card, but
Right.
sorry, I have to bring it up. Um, my mom died in seventh grade, right? And then I found One Direction like 3 months later, and it was just like I didn't have a great childhood, so like home life, not great. Going to school, not great. Online, amazing. It's like that community I found. So like when people started like being like, "Oh, we like you, you're funny," like it was such a safe space for me that I just like went full in on it. And I was very chronically online. I feel like before it was really popular, like us, but like
Mm,
people like locals, like they'd be like, "You spend all your day on Tumblr." I'm like, "Yeah, it's like my safe space. You don't get it." But yeah,
mhm.
that's what kind of led me to going into it. I always say this to people. They'd be like, "Oh, you're an influencer." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I was never an influencer." You mentioned like business of it. I had no idea, like, because I was literally
Yeah.
14. I had I was just doing it for fun. All of it was always for fun. I never had any goals with it, which people like
Mhm.
don't believe me. I'm like, it's true. Like that's why I don't do any of it right now.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
back
I
then
mean
it was so new and so different,
yeah.
like you said.
Yeah. I mean, that's like how it was back then, though. I feel like the
Mhm.
thought that you could make money off of it or make it into anything just wasn't even a thought in people's minds, especially when you are that young. Because
Yeah.
it's like, but now it's so weird because that's completely changed. And it's like
Mhm.
almost impossible to go into it without having that at least a little bit in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I hear what like I never made any money either. Like people think that too. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I never made any money because like these things like playlists and that, like they were smart. Like they knew if they approached me at like 16 years old, be like, hey, we'll pay for a hotel room for you in Orlando if you want to come and hang out with your internet friends. And I was like, hell yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then they're making money off of it because like me and all my friends are there. And I just, that didn't click in my head. And as an
Mhm.
adult, and I'm like, damn. I like, because if you see the influencers now, like some of them, you don't have to have like too many followers to make good money on like
Yeah.
TikTok. I feel like, I wonder, I don't even want to think about what I could have made back then. It's sick. Now
Sorry.
everyone like I never went in thinking like with money. It was just never a goal, but you're right. Like now like you kind of it's a motivation. Hell yeah. Like I mean these
Mhm.
people make insane amounts of money. Like I understand why some people want to do it.
Yeah. No, I was gonna ask you about that. Vine was so early on in social media too. Like Twitter was still like, in its early stages, or at least it's like
Hmm.
golden era where it
Yeah.
felt like a lot of people were just like joining in and like Stan Twitter was at such a prime. And I think that also really correlated with there not being this external
Exterior?
motivator.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But of just like money, like brand deals, like stuff like that. Cause I
Yeah.
remember listening like before David Dobrik was like super canceled. I remember
Hmm.
listening because I was super curious about how much money people made off Vine. And it was like such a new thing where like I remember him talking about brand deals starting during Vine. And at first it was like that was not even a thing. And then he started talking about how he made like 100K or something. And it was like,
That's
which is
crazy.
insane because it was like 5-second videos and it was a way different
Hmm.
platform than anything we have now and way like I think that's what made it so pure, obviously, because there wasn't that and everyone was
Yeah.
mainly on there at least to begin with, not for the reason of making money.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
really curious for you because I vividly remember when you got to go like backstage with Fifth Harmony.
Oh
I
my God.
so obsessed. And I was so fascinated by that because I feel like that was a very early on example of Vine becoming something physical and like presenting it itself in this like real opportunity where people didn't realize the internet could do that at first. And then it was like,
Mhm.
oh, well, these creators mean something. They're going backstage and like making content with like this huge girl group. Like which I think is really interesting. And I was always curious what that experience was like. And also if it was like weird for Vine to suddenly become this opportunity. And also I guess with like playlist and vidcon and stuff too.
Yeah. See, the thing is, like, the Vine, so there was like playlist, like I guess it's like this whole like business part, whatever. And then there was like Vine would come in and like be a sponsor for things. And then like I guess like Vine, like shout out to them because they're the only ones that like ever got me paid. Like if I ever got paid, it was because of like the Vine team. Like they paid me. And it was like one time it was great. But like it was like a lot of
Thanks,
money to
Vine.
me at like $16. I think they gave me
Yeah.
like $1,000 and I was like, oh my God. Meanwhile, fucking David Dobrik probably making $100,000 a video. But that's the thing, like
Insane.
they were all Viners, but like the Vine team, I guess kind of prioritized like me, Sydney, and Dana. And then like that whole like crew of them, there was such an age gap between that. So like they figured out very fast that they could make money this way. And we didn't. We were just having fun. So that's like why Vine, I feel like, kind of took us places. Cause like I feel like they were kind of involved in stan culture, honestly. Like the
Yeah.
marketing people, like I think it was like the marketing team. And they were really involved, like they loved Fifth Harmony. So I think
Okay.
Fifth Harmony approached them and was, this is what I'm thinking now. I
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
like nothing ever went into these things. They were just like, hey, do you want to come to Fifth Harmony concert? And like you guys can, you know, meet them backstage after. And I'm like, oh, I figured like they knew we would take vines of them and like obviously would give them publicity. Not that they needed it, really not from us, but like it's kind of like a moment. But like I didn't care because it was fun. I loved Fifth Harmony, but it was
Well, it
more,
also like humanized them, I think, and that was
yeah,
probably why their team like thought
True.
of
Yeah.
that.
yeah. I mean, it was smart
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I
They knew
like,
what they were doing.
They really did. And that was like an early example of that because now
yeah,
like bands and artists know to do that.
Yeah,
mm-hmm,
now it's so common and it's like you said before about not even needing a lot of followers to make money. I feel like you don't even need a lot of followers to have an opportunity like that.
yeah.
Like it's all just so much more accessible, which is weird because it used to feel so far away. Like that watching you go backstage with Fifth Harmony felt like an otherworldly thing.
You know what's so funny? I tell you, I'm like a nervous freak. I did like a mock interview with my friend because
Stop!
Stop.
That's so sweet though.
Aw,
I'm gonna cry.
that's
Oh my
really
um
God.
sweet.
because I was just like I don't remember because like it was like a really hard time in my life. Obviously, like I was an adolescent and I was like going through some really hard things and like I don't know, all these things were kind of happening to me. Like things that have never really happened to people, I feel like, because it was brand new. And she was like, you should talk about the Fifth Harmony thing. And I was like, oh, well, I only did that one time. She's like, what? That's such a core memory for me. I feel like you did that like 10 times. I was like, that was one night. But it's funny that's
Yeah.
what people remember, but
Mm.
it's influence. But yeah, that was fine. Like the Vine team, they were cool. It was like three people, three or four, and they were the ones that got us invited to things because Playlist didn't really acknowledge us because they were like, who are these preteens making, we weren't like that. That's why I always tell people that I'm like, I think I already said that. It's like it was a very niche community. So like, yeah, it
Mhm.
was the Fifth Harmony thing that was crazy. I remember like because I paid for Fifth Harmony, I paid for a meet and greet like a
Yeah.
year before.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is so embarrassing now. They probably don't, they
Yeah.
didn't remember, so it's fine. But I was like, why did I pay $200 to meet them last year?
No, I think that is also just interesting, like you talking about the marketing of it too. Because yeah, again, that was just like so I think early into like people figuring out how to market with social media. And I
Mhm.
remember it was also like the beginning of when like bands like Fifth Harmony would do stuff online, like online contests like had just begun. Like there was like the whole like Fifth Harmony wristband contest. I don't know
Mhm.
if you remember that, but I don't know. I was just like going back through all my memories of that stuff, and I think it is interesting how much it's escalated since then.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I always tell people like it's not the same, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's just not the same because it was so, like you said, organic early. I had no motivations for any of it. Like neither did anyone else. And it's just interesting how like how different it turned. It's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like also with like Liam's death and everything, I feel like
Oh,
that's brought up because now my entire Twitter feed is just old One Direction inside jokes in
yeah.
the fandom and old memories that I've like forgot about because I also feel like I blacked out so much of it.
Yeah.
But now it's all coming back to me in bits and pieces and it's so crazy to think of.
I know. I'm seeing so much, especially from yesterday.
Yeah, the
But
funeral.
that was I had a huge influx of people come and find me after that, which was really
Whoa.
cool. Like I like randomly like I like made a Vine. Oh my God. I made a TikTok of like me like with Stockholm syndrome playing, something like that.
Mhm.
Like this was like 2 months before Liam passed away. And then like he passed away and then like 2 days later that TikTok went viral. And I was like,
Whoa.
this is strange. And I have like people in my comments be like, I thought of you right away. I came to find you. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's so crazy. Like they associate me with that time period.
Mm,
It's just such
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, it's so like it just doesn't register in my mind that like people know me. I don't, it just never really it never really made sense to me. I'm always like, what do you mean? Like when you think of One Direction, you think of me. That's insane. And
that
Yeah.
is like so interesting.
they were like, they said it was like comforting to like come and find me and see me talk about it. And I was like, that's so crazy.
Mm,
It means a lot to me. Oh my God, I was crying over it. And I was like, there were so many people. I was so surprised. And I was like, oh my God. But it was
yeah.
really
Wow.
sweet. But under sad circumstances. But it
Mm,
was
Wow.
very, like you said, I've seen a lot of One Direction content coming forward now. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe like it was just such a fun time back then. And it just makes me so
mhm.
nostalgic and it's so painfully nostalgic. And I'm like, fuck, that was like over 10 years ago now.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, it's crazy that like it's also bringing this almost popularity to fandoms because there hasn't really been a
Mhm.
moment like this where we've all
Yeah.
just like had a reason to look back on it as I think in a more general public way for One Direction because they like impacted so many people our age.
Hmm.
Um, but it is just like so interesting that now it's hitting people online what like fandoms really meant and like how big they were. And also, I think it, like in terms of what you were saying about people coming to find you after it, I think it's interesting because I think people who were very online and vocal about it, or at least they knew you were online at that early time of the internet, like people outside of it, like didn't get it. And then because it was like, well, yes, this is going to hit everyone afterwards, they look back and were like, how did she know that? Like, because I've had
Hmm.
people do
Mhm.
that to me from being just very vocal about being like on Twitter and in like Ariana Grande's fandom, Fifth Harmony's fandom, like when I was really young, like in elementary school, which is crazy. Like I was crazy. But like people will like bring it up to me now and be like, yeah, I don't know how you like had found that. I feel like very before anyone else did.
It was
That
so
sounds stupid,
random.
but yeah.
No, it makes sense. Like I think I just opened my dad's laptop one day and I like saw them like just a video of like them on X Factor and I was like, okay, my life is changing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That's
I remember kids in school, I don't know, like there wasn't a lot of people in my school that like were like really big fans of anyone. So like people thought I was really weird for it, like
Mm.
really weird. And it's just strange because the amount of people that from like I knew in high school reached out to me when Liam passed away, they were like, "Hope you're okay, Queen." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I like I'm like you associate me with that. That's crazy. But you're
Yeah.
right. It felt like no one really outside of like that group, like that online presence was really involved with it. But then I guess you really see that people really were. But
Mm.
if that makes sense, I don't know.
No, it
Yeah, no,
does.
that makes so much sense. Yeah, it was yeah, I saw also that thing of like people tweeting how people they haven't talked to in 10 years are now
Mhm.
messaging them asking them if they're okay. And it's just like a crazy thing. Or I got messages like from
Mhm.
like people that I was friends with in middle school who were in the fandom too.
Mm.
Girlhood.
Girlhood,
Dude, and it was
literally.
like also I think a really we were like talking about this, like just like a weird thing to be somehow
Yeah.
involved and then like not involved, but like involved and then us having been fans at that time, it was like fucked up.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And like Samira more than me, like I feel like that's like a hard thing to process.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really is like I don't know. I feel like I kind of took I don't know, like they ended in what, 2016? I think so it was
Mm.
15. I was a senior in high school.
I
You
think
guys were
15.
probably in middle school, freshmen. Um, but yeah, I remember after that, like I feel like when I got to college, I kind of like was less involved in like the
Mhm.
fandom. I was still really involved in Harry, obviously. I mean, I loved them all, but like I got really involved in like Harry's fandom outside of that,
Mhm.
which is just so strange that it became because now the Harry fandom is like all new people. It's like people they didn't even know him when he was in. That's strange. That messes with
That's
me.
really weird.
They're like, I was three when One Direction was out, and I'm like, how about you
Ugh.
shut your mouth? Don't say that again.
Like, you don't have to talk about this if you're not comfortable, but what you had mentioned about your mom passing when you were young, like, do you feel like that very much accentuated your connection, fandoms, and also like One Direction? Because you mentioned that was kind of the thing that like you
But I'll tell you
attached to.
anything. I
Okay,
like
cool.
don't have like I don't know, like I'm such like I'll tell you any like if any of my secrets. I have no nothing makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, it really was. Like I think you're kind of saying yeah, I don't know. Like I was like my mom passed away and I don't remember anything after until like that summer when I found What Makes You Beautiful. And it's like once I found One Direction, like the voice is silenced. Like because like my mom had like a lot of problems. She was an addict. So like it was really hard for me as a kid. And then for her to pass away, sitting like and like finding One Direction was like what is it called? Like having a lifeboat, like a life
Mhm.
vest. I don't know. It just was something I could cling to and put all my energy into so I didn't have to deal with anything. It was like nice to have that like fandom to go to and like all these friends. Like my friends from One Direction Twitter are my best friends still. Like
Aw.
my best friend Riley is in Nashville, like, and I live in Atlanta. She's like a 2 hour drive away. I see her all the time. People are like, "Where'd you meet?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, most of my best friends are from that, and it's just so nuts how much it changed my life. And that's
Yeah.
when people say to me, like the people coming to me when Liam passed away, they were like, "You meant so much to me." I'm like, "You don't know how much you meant to me because like everything in my life sucked."
Yeah.
To go on and like have these people to like talk to and like I don't know, it's just really amazing and I'm really grateful for that. And people, I don't know, I feel like it's the tales of old time. They're like One Direction saved my life, but like they drastically changed my life.
Hmm.
And like
Yeah.
I always like I wanted so I'm an actor still and like I wanted to be an actor and like I don't know, like then the Vine thing happened and it really gave me the confidence to go for what I want to do. So like
Hmm.
it literally changed every aspect of my life. Like it gave me confidence to
Whoa, that's insane
That's
actually
really
to think
yeah,
cool.
about.
yeah, it's crazy. Like and then like the Wattpad thing and now I'm an author's assistant for like
Aw.
romance writers. Like that's crazy. It literally
Hmm.
changed so much. And I'm like, I owe everything to One Direction. Like that's I don't even care. I don't care. Like whatever. Like if I don't know, if I owe everything to One Direction. I don't care. I'm proud of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. No,
I'm proud
that's
of it.
really sweet. That's a crazy thing that like to think about the person that you were before Vine and
Hmm.
before One Direction and before all of that to compare it to the person you were or are now, I guess, even just after all of it is so crazy. I was like looking online like to do research for this and I found this article that I guess you like did an interview for when Vine like died down.
Oh yeah, it was for my college. That was so strange. I don't even remember what I said.
Aw.
No, you just said one thing which I thought was like really interesting about how you on Vine was the girl that you wish you could be in real life.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like Miley and Hannah in Hannah
Yeah.
Montana, except now that Hannah's dead. And I thought that was like such a good way of putting it. And it sounds like even talking to you now about it, like you're like still in a similar like it hasn't changed that much, Which I'm
Yeah.
like curious to know what your thoughts are on that now.
I was something I was had on my little timeline, my list to say at
Aw.
pinpoint.
Aw.
Um, I'm not Savannah, like I always say this is the corniest stuff, but like it's true. Like I'm not Savannah was like not real, is what I tell people. Like I could go online and be like funny, cool. I could like, this was back when Instagram when you would edit the fuck out of your photos. Like I could be pretty, I could be thin, which is so toxic, but like it's like everything. I didn't have to talk about like no one knew what was happening behind closed doors like with my life and I could go on and like everyone thought I was perfect. So I was like, I love this and I can be funny and I could, say whatever I wanted to say. Like my people used to ask my dad, like, what does she make videos about? And he'd be like, well, she says things that you wish you could say. And I'm like, that actually is tea. That makes sense. But then I'd go to school and I was like the quietest person ever. And like I'm very introverted. And I know everyone says that, but it's true. I took beta blockers to do this interview, okay?
I get it. I've taken
Yeah.
anxiety pills before interviews before too.
Yeah. Like, and it was just such, that's what everyone says. Like, it's so surprising to people when they like find out like what I used to do, or even that I'm an actor. They're like, what the? It makes no sense. I'm like, exactly. It's just like I could be perfect online and then in person, because this was such a hard time in my life. Like, I like tell like again, everyone was depressed. It sucked. I was like super depressed, and like not only am I like a teenager, but also again, like I had so many things going on that no one knew about, and I didn't want anyone to know because I wanted them to think I was perfect. And then like it was really weird when Vine ended, because I was like, well, shit, I don't really have that anymore. So now I kind of have to face who I am. And that was a really weird time. Like when I graduated high school and then Vine died my first year into college, like a couple months into college. And I was like, at that point when Vine was editing, like that's another thing. I never really prioritized Vine and YouTube. I didn't want to put my whole life into it because it was just fun. Because I wanted to like go into acting. I was like, I'm gonna move to LA. I'm gonna be an actor. And then, you know, I mean, like it takes a while to do that, but I graduated high school. I was like, well, I'm broke. I can't move. I need to like save up money, and I might as well go to college while I can. I was going to community college. And then Vine ended, and then, I was failing in school. I was like not doing good, like mentally. Like a lot of things, that's the thing, a lot of things I blocked out during the One Direction time period really came forward when I was 18. And
Mhm.
this was really weird for me, especially since I didn't have anything to dive into and now distract myself, because Vine was gone, this fandom was gone, and I had all these like real world problems in my face.
Mhm.
And it was so strange because I don't know, it really messed with me. And people would be like, "Well, why didn't you continue?" And I was like, "Because I feel like I don't know, I was such in a bad spot. I just was like, no one cares. Like, you're wasting your time posting. Like, no one cares about you. Like, this is so dumb." In my head, it's like
Mhm.
not good thoughts, obviously, but I don't know. I didn't keep up with it because I was like, what's the point? Like, I'm not doing well anyway, and I don't care because I don't care about anything. I'm failing out of college, like, whatever. And then that's something that, like, in the past 2 years, like, I've really gotten a lot better at. I'm like, I'm not Savannah's coming back to life. I don't care. Like,
Aw.
it was such a hard time. And then I don't know. So I graduated college in 2021. Like a year before that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my fucking life together. I'm gonna graduate college, and then I'm gonna move to Atlanta and actually pursue my dreams. So I during this
That's
time
so
period,
awesome.
I stopped
Yeah.
acting too. So I just like lost everything. And I just really think it's because the whole I'm not Savannah thing, like I just was so everyone thought I was this one person when I wasn't. So then when it got taken away, like I was like, well, shit, now I'm stuck with this.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I just
No, it
called my
does.
persona like I remember my sister, she would always say this, like when I pick out clothes. Like I think I was picking out a prom dress, and she's like, that's not something I'm not Savannah would wear. Like I'm not gonna wear
Aw.
something more extravagant. I'm like, you ate, you're right. And
Wait,
that's why I used to do like that's how drastic it was for everyone around me. It's like, oh, she's not like this in real life type vibe.
it's so interesting because, like, even though you're saying you're not like that, it's like that's still like
Mm-hmm.
you making it, and you are like that, but it's like it's interesting to view it as such a separate thing, which I totally get because I think also just like online world in general and what you present, it's like so much of it is like gaslighting yourself
Yes, that's
and like
exactly what it
Mhm.
is.
pretending. And also just like the taste, I was gonna say, of what you got from internet friends and just like online fandoms too in that same way was very like an escape and very a different world. But it's so interesting, like hearing you talk about it as a separate thing, because I don't know, even just like you saying like, oh, like no one like cares. Obviously, I think you like logically, but like people were probably idolizing you in the same way you idolized One Direction. And I
Hmm.
think that's just like such a cool thing about the internet. And it's really cool
Yeah,
to give you this space to be creative, especially in like a really hard time.
Mhm.
I know. Like, and then I'd be like, ugh, I don't know. It was such a like I had a lot of I don't know. I guess it was like what is it called imposter syndrome. Like I've something I've
Mm-hmm.
always struggled with, until this past year. Like, I remember I was just like, you know what? Like, I am allowed to exist in this space. I'm allowed to, I am this person. Like, the jokes came from me, babe. Like, I created her. And I've really been able the past like year and a half. I've been in Atlanta now for 2 years. That's why I came down here. I was like, everything's gonna change. Like, I'm gonna start doing things that I want to do. And I have been, and it feels so good to have like a
Aw.
creative outlet, like
Mm.
to be doing things like that again. I'm like, girl, I could have done this a couple of years and been healed. Like, what are you doing? Like, I just self-sabotaged for so long because I just like thought I deserved it to self-sabotage, which is so dumb. So dumb. Like, I need whatever. She needed help. She needed help. She should have got it a while ago, but she's here now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really
That's
glad that you like
yeah.
are feeling better now and like feel like you have a creative outlet.
That's I've never talked about it either until like maybe 2 years ago. I like started opening up online, I guess, because like I disappeared for a while, like offline.
Mhm.
Like I didn't post for like I think 3 years. And if I did, it was on Instagram like once a year or something.
Mm.
And like I just completely fell off because I was like, I don't want to be perceived by anyone. Like I already dumped my whole life on there. And then I remember I came back around and I started talking about like my experiences, like with my childhood and my mom. And then like I found out I was bipolar too, which is like bipolar, like high functioning depression, because I thought I was just high functioning depression my whole life. But really,
Mhm.
what I found it is like bipolar too, which is just more depressive episodes, but you kind of come out of them. And like your manic is like being normal. And it
Mm.
was such a like that made so much sense. And then I started like, getting treated for it. Luckily, I'm lucky enough to have been able to get the help that I need. And then I was like, oh my God, if I'd done this like 4 years ago, like, so I started opening up more about like that and my experience with that. And people were like, I got so many good responses. And I was like, why didn't I just talk about this years ago? Like people like to hear this stuff because I would look up to people who talked about that stuff. So that's something I'm happy I've been talking about because people are like, oh wait, yeah, me too. And I'm like, I didn't have to be this perfect girl beforehand. Like it was all that drama for what?
Yeah. I was gonna say with the thing that you were talking about with self-sabotage, because I feel like I've done that, and I don't know if it's similar at all to you for you, but for me, sometimes I'll do it, and I feel like a lot of it is rooted in the fact that like I was 12 years old and on Tumblr, and I was on the most depressing parts of
Oh God.
Tumblr that you could be
Yeah.
on, and like literally just feeding myself into this like loophole of depressing
Yeah.
content and depressing music. And I remember because I was in like the poetry community on Instagram, and I followed this one poet, and she was like super depressed and like romanticized depression like they all did, you know? And
Hmm.
then one day she posted this whole thing and was just like, or she like just became, she's completely changed and started posting like positive stuff. And she basically just posted this like reality check and was like, it's not like romantic to romanticize
Hmm.
depression and mental illness. And it like honestly changed my life at like 14 because it made me be like, and I still think about it now when I find myself going into those like self-sabotage rabbit holes, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I fell victim to Tumblr too. It was crazy,
Mhm.
especially at such a, God, I can't believe how bad it was back then.
It
But
was
it's
so
almost, it was so bad. But like you said, like you kind of just fed into it. And that was something I've worked through in therapy. I'm like, why do I like this? Like, why do I like being sad? And she's like, because it's comfortable. Like, that's where you've always been. It's comforting. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then I hated hearing that because I was like, whatever, you just don't get it. And then like
yeah.
I started doing things differently, like taking care of myself more and like not feeding into like knowing like things that trigger me and like doing things to like make sure I don't get there. And I'm like, wait, that
Mhm.
kind of makes sense. But I did fall very much victim to the Tumblr-esque vibe. And that's something, this is something I struggle with too. Like I also was someone that like facetuned my photos, and I like and I it makes me so it breaks my heart that like people were looking at my photos. Oh my God, it makes me like want to cry. I cry about it all the time. People would look at my photos, think like, oh, I want to look like her. Like I didn't look like that. And I feel so bad for even feeding that to like younger girls, if that makes sense.
It
Like
it makes sense.
I just feel so terrible for it. I'm like, why did I mean,
But you
I
were
was
also just like a young girl.
Yeah,
yeah,
like you were kind of also just like a victim of like
yeah.
this pressure, especially on women to look a certain way, which literally like was crazy online with Facetune because I remember being like in middle school. I would
Yeah.
Facetune my photos and like Facetune like my face, and it's like
Yeah.
crazy because I was like so young and I definitely like didn't need to be doing that.
Same. I
Yeah.
literally, I used to get, everyone made fun of me because I had no lips online, so I would like edit my lips. Like, girl, you are 16 years old. Like, you do not like, it's just,
And your
and
lips are gonna grow in.
yeah. Like, because I went back a while ago and like archived a lot of my photos just
Mm.
because I was like, I don't need that online. But I see comments and people are like, "Oh, body goals. I wish I looked like her." And I'm like, "Oh God, I just feel so terrible. Like that wasn't real." But then I have to remind myself too that like I fell victim to that, but it's just a guilt
Mm.
I carry because I'm like, again, I don't realize like how many people I guess paid attention to me. Oh, that's like one of my biggest regrets. I just feel
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Everyone love yourself,
It's
please.
very cool how transparent it is now because I feel like people are very
Mm-hmm.
open about it, especially on TikTok and I guess
Mm-hmm.
Instagram too, which is really cool to see.
It makes me really happy because like I have younger family members, like nieces. Oh
Hmm.
my God, it makes me so happy that like they're very like he's so loud. I'm sorry. It makes me happy that like they're not getting fed the same things that
Yeah.
like oh my God, how bad it was. Like I was really into like you said like the like eating disorder side of Tumblr or
Mm.
something like that. And it was just like disgusting, like the things I would repost. Like, why was that online? Why was that even
No,
online?
there were
Yeah.
no filters or like block, like they didn't block anything. Like it was all just there and it was all like, and that was what Tumblr was kind of known for, I feel like. So that was
Yeah.
like the first picture that you would see and like the most prominent pictures you would see.
And you're
Yeah.
right, we're just all reblogging it for like aesthetic. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
girl, like we need to stop romanticizing this. This is
Like the
terrible.
Effie Stoneham
Hmm.
aesthetic, like yeah.
Oh, it is a really great thing that now, like, I don't know. It's interesting because I think back then it was really just like these young kids, like, not even knowing what they were really doing,
Hmm.
which it's good that we could, like, go through it to then learn from it.
Yeah.
But it's also just, like, great that it's becoming more of just, like, a standard in society and the online society that
Hmm.
it's just like normalized to look like a normal person.
Yeah.
There's more, I think, openness about like anything that is edited or and just like the fact that like a lot of celebrities like in like photo shoots and stuff like that or like creators like I don't know, it's just like way more talked about, which I think is like very important for
Love
people.
it. It's so great. I just, it sucks we went through it, but you're right. I'm glad it turned into something really good though.
I did also want to shift a little because I wanted to ask you, like, in that kind of same, like, looking at it and seeing how it has shifted since, I'm curious about what your thoughts are about comedy online because I think Vine harnessed like such like a distinct humor. And
Yeah.
also I think it was a lot of what like we attribute to being Gen Z humor. At least I think it came from like Drew and Enya, but then I also think that like a lot of the like creators on Vine, including them, like is really where that came from. Like I think that was like really like comedy history in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so strange because like I was not funny. Like I remember at some point in my life I was like, Savannah, like you have to do something. Like you have to be funny. Like you need to teach yourself to be funny. And I remember being on Twitter and I don't know, were you guys like when everyone was like sass accounts? We were all One Direction accounts, but we called ourselves like sass accounts and it was
Oh no, I
like
do remember people
trolling,
saying that. Yeah.
like trolling online. Like
Yeah.
that I feel like was kind of the birth of like some of the internet comedy.
Hmm.
And I agree. I feel like, people, I saw a TikTok and they were like, what Vine like quotes do you still say to this day? And it's like, it was influential. I feel like it changed internet. Because I saw something. It was, because I was a big YouTube fan. I watched a
Hmm.
lot of YouTubers that were long format. And then to switch to like short film format was just so different because short attention spans, and I feel like that's what it trained us to do. Like, oh, you can laugh within 6 seconds. And then like how everything now, you just have a short attention span to everything. But I
Yeah.
do agree. I think like that, I don't know, if the Gen Z humor, you're right. I feel like it was formed by Vine. Yeah.
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 Like, God,
And like stan culture kind of like
For-
stands
I
like were
Yeah.
such like the harbinger of that.
They were ahead
I
of their time.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it was a lot of stan accounts because like the shit that I say because like just because of like that would be okay like on a fan account.
Mhm.
That's what makes it funny. Like just like saying crazy stuff like that versus if like I've said that like I don't know, just like I'll say things to my friends and like Savannah, what the fuck? But like I don't even know. Like I think it you can just say the most unhinged things, and I feel like that's where that comedy came from. Like
Mhm.
just being able to have like I feel like because everyone that's the thing, like no one thought about digital footprint, so they would just say the wildest shit. And I feel like that's what's funny now. You can just say crazy things. Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of like old like you go on TikTok and like no one cares about the digital like you don't have to be careful because it's
Yeah.
so like normalized. But yeah, Drew and Enya like changed everyone's humor. Like I always see comments about that. Like they
Mhm.
shaped them. Like they're funny as fuck. I
Yeah, no.
love
Yeah.
them. I love them. And I mean, I remember like I would watch like I think it was like Jenna Marbles, and I was like, I need to be funny like her. Like I need to like
Yeah.
pick up
Same.
these mannerisms, and I would pay attention to funny people, and it was stuff like that. And that's where I feel like my humor came from. Like people would say like she says things that she'd want to say in real life, but she can't say.
Hmm.
I feel like that's like where my humor started to go. But then like God, I listened to like Drew and Anya's podcast, and I fucking cry.
At least like if they didn't start that humor, they definitely like popularized it and gave it
Oh
almost
yeah,
like
Yeah.
these
the platform.
characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like Caleb, what's his last name? He has the podcast with, and he does it with like Brittany sometimes and Drew. Oh my God, they are so funny. Caleb Huron. I might say it wrong. Caleb Huron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like reminds me of like Drew and Enya, and I feel like they really set like that platform for people. But I
Oh
mean,
wait, this guy
for-
was in I Used to
he's
Be
a
Funny.
oh really?
He was.
Yeah. Yeah, he was I think the like gay friend or something. Maybe not,
Right?
but
Oh
I
wait, I
think
want to see that so bad. Is it on Netflix?
It
it,
was awful.
we
Sorry.
didn't like
So bad.
we did not like
Worst
it.
like day of my
I'm
Too
life,
crying. All right, maybe
literally.
I'll skip it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
maybe
Shiva
if you're
Baby
a
was
Rachel
good.
Sennett girl, maybe you'd like her.
I said the thing. I adore her. So like anything with her, I'm like,
Yeah. No,
But she's funny in bottoms, I think.
yeah.
I
And
love
Shiva Baby
bottoms.
I liked a lot.
Yeah.
I did like
Yes. I
I
just didn't
might
like I used to be funny.
and you know who I think really changed humor as well online? Brittany Broski. I think she had such a huge
Yeah.
impact on the way people like she says shit that fan accounts say. She is so fucking funny. Like she
Yeah.
really had a huge
Mhm.
influence, I feel like, on Gen Z humor, especially since her like fans are like younger than us, I feel like.
So many of the people who have become like again, like who have become big. I don't know if you know like Emmy on TikTok, but
Mhm.
she like used to be Troy Sivan fan account, I think.
Whoa.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of like their funny videos is just like screaming about like
Yeah.
people and crying about like people, which I think makes so much sense because we're all just obsessed with each other when you boil it all
Yeah.
down.
I remember like seeing like I don't know, like you see celebrities that were like fan accounts at one point. Like this is
Mhm.
like a new generation of like actors and singers that like they have a
Mhm.
digital footprint of being fan accounts. And some people were
Yeah.
kind of getting hate at first, and it's like, girl, who cares? Like, we were
Yeah.
all 14 at one
Mhm.
point, obsessed with like One Direction, Justin Bieber. Like I feel like it used to be like more like you had to be hush hush about it. I
Yeah.
think that's what I kind of used to do because I was like, okay, I really want to take my acting serious. Like, I feel like I
Mhm.
can't be blasting on Twitter, Harry Styles, please follow me. One, and like
Times one, times two.
Times
times two,
yeah.
I was like, I feel like I can't be doing that anymore. And now I'm like, girl, I don't care. I'll put on my story. It's so normalized. Like, and I
Mhm.
think Britney had a big impact on that. But I think
Yeah,
it did
that's cool.
start with Vine.
I remember the reason that I loved Camila from Fifth Harmony so much was because she had a One Direction fan account, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, she's one of us.
Yeah. I mean, even Halsey, like,
Yes.
she had the
Yeah.
One Direction Tumblr, right?
Tumblr.
Because
Oh,
and she
I
Yeah.
didn't
wrote
know that.
He
Aw.
she
wrote
wrote
the
that.
song about Taylor Swift and Harry. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? I Knew You Were Trouble,
Oh
Halo
yeah.
song.
Oh.
that shit ate. I'm sorry, but it was good.
And she
Like,
got hate for it, didn't she?
she
And I'm
got
like,
so much hate.
and
People were
but
like, "You're a misogynist."
if that happened now, people would be like, "That's funny as fuck." Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, because it was like,
Like,
sorry.
and she's insanely talented. Like, who cares if she was a One Direction fan beforehand? That's so weird that people care. I don't think they
Yeah.
do anymore though, which is nice.
You said that you were scared about people finding your fan account and then like it being
Mm-hmm.
digital footprint with jobs. I was curious if that happened at all with acting with Vine, like the aura of being a creator at all, like
Yeah.
impacted your ability to get jobs.
So it's funny because this was like a time like when I was really going in for a lot of auditions. This was like probably 2017. This is when like King King Bach and Logan Paul, I think, were acting and stuff.
Ugh.
And I was like, fuck, I gotta hide my Vine because like
Yeah.
this is so embarrassing. Like they're gonna be like, oh great, another Viner turned actor. But like I
Mhm.
had acting was always first for me before Vine and all that stuff. So then that's not the main reason I stopped posting. I don't know. But it didn't really do anything for me, if I'm being honest, because it really all comes down to talent, which is good.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Mhm.
But it's strange. Like, God, the amount of social media like management job interviews I've gone into and they pull up my account, like, or like Google me, I'm like, why did you do that? Please don't do that. They like just look at my portfolio. Like, why are you? Because like they see, because I have it on my portfolio, like had 1 million followers, like built that from the bottom, and people are like, okay, how did you do that? Like, what did you post? I'm like, you don't want to see. I'm just showing you. I can teach you how to go viral. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to know everything else. Like, mind your business.
It's also so interesting because it's like that was a different time. Like how I
Yeah.
went viral then is not how I'm gonna go viral now.
Yeah, like it's not the same. It's easier to go viral now. And I can say that because I work on TikTok, so like
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
easier to.
Wait, I'm curious what your job is now. Like, what are you doing?
So, um, so I work as an author's assistant. I like try to help them write certain books, and then I work for a reading app doing marketing for these indie authors. It's like
Okay.
I literally I make TikTok edits.
You on Book Talk?
Book talk. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Nice.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Hey, it's a fun job.
No, yeah.
That's
I
not
mean,
no.
the
I really
pipeline from being like a creator or fan account to doing social media stuff.
I moved
Okay.
to Atlanta. I was like, okay, this is kind of still where I was like very insecure. I was like, you're not going to make it as an actor. Like, you should just, try to get in the writer's room down here and like and write comedy. So when I
Mhm.
first moved here, I was working as a production assistant, which is like, I don't know if you know, it's like you're an assistant on set. You drive people around, celebrities and or not celebrities, just actors and people on the crew. You check people in, you get things that they need, you call like I don't know. It's just like you're literally an assistant, but it's really
Yeah.
fun. Um, one of the first jobs I had down here moved to Atlanta was for the movie Red One, which is in the movie theaters right now. It's that
Ooh.
Christmas one with The Rock, Lucy Liu.
Oh,
Oh, I
cool.
keep
Did you
seeing
get to meet
ads
The
for
Rock?
that.
Yeah, I met them all. Lucy Liu is so
Whoa.
beautiful.
Aw.
I'm a big Kieran Shipka fan too, so seeing her, I was like, oh, holy
Aw.
fuck. But I like did that essentially like to like kind of work my way up because I want to be a writer.
Mhm.
Um, And then I got really, it's really hard being a production assistant. It's a lot of hours. You're up at 4 in the morning. You don't get home till 11 at night, you know?
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I miss acting. So let me try acting again. So then I got into acting again. And then I randomly found this job and I got so lucky. And then like, I just like, do freelancing stuff. So,
Especially now with like remote jobs being more popular and people
hmm
like finding ways to essentially do as little work as possible.
hmm
Like, because like I feel like I'm like always afraid that we're gonna run out of people that actually want to do hard work and like want to be doctors and nurses and teachers and stuff.
what did I say?
And
It
I'm
was
like,
like, stop becoming influencers. We need plumbers. And it's like,
yeah, literally.
we do. Something I
Yeah.
hate, and I don't know if you guys see this, like this was something I was always really insecure about, like how after Vine happened, like nothing, I didn't, I feel like people expected me, like, how like Viners I used to know, they all moved out to LA and like
Mm.
Mhm.
they really grew. And like, unfortunately, I didn't have the resources or the support system to go and do that. Not saying they did, because I mean, they probably worked hard as fuck for it. but I just like wasn't in a place where I could. And that was always something that really was insecure for me. I was like, I feel like wasted potential. And I kind of hate that stigma, I feel like, on like influencers that like used to do really good and now they don't, and they don't go and get a real job. And that makes me so mad. I'm like, girl, let them live. Like, not
Yeah.
everyone just like wants to make videos all like it messes with your head sometimes. I remember going crazy in high school because like someone would reach 1 million followers before me, you know? Like, and I feel like they really, I don't know, like all my friends were doing the same. So it's hard to see your friends do really amazing and then you're not doing good. And like,
Yeah.
girl, some people don't want that stress. Some people just want to like work their job, get health insurance, and have a good time. Like,
No,
Yeah.
I think it's hard to see when you're like very intertwined in it, but it definitely is a thing where just because you did this thing, obviously it doesn't box you, but in I think everything we do matters and it eventually like comes back to you in this way where you realize, oh, this thing like happened and I can like understand it now and it doesn't have to be anything else other than
mm-hmm.
what it was. But also I think sometimes stuff like that comes back to you and it like helps you in some other way. Like I'm sure that like they liked that you had that experience for like your jobs now.
Like you said, the pipeline from being a fan account to becoming social media management, insane. That's why everyone does amazing. These businesses do amazing on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. Like we were low key like having full-time jobs when we were like 12.
Yes. Like, did you know, like, I only know this now because I work on these side of TikTok. Did you know, like, these fan edits, they're getting paid a lot of
Yeah,
money.
that's
Like,
crazy.
That's
that
I
was
just
mind
found that out.
blowing.
That's insane. Yeah.
That's mind blowing. Like, and then, like, you don't even know it, but some of these people running these accounts are like grown ass men.
Yeah.
But it's a
Ugh.
I
lot
didn't
of
like
like
that.
girls like us too, though, I will say. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
like I have some friends that do that. They're like, yeah, I just do editing. I make an edit of Aaron Taylor Johnson last week. I feel like it's really the only way that like some social media marketing works is to run it like a fan account.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
hard to teach people that because I like help people like I help like other social media marketing. I like help them out, like teach them how to like, grow as an account. And I can tell who was never a stan and who wasn't. I'm
Yeah.
like, instantly. And I'm like, oh, it's hard to teach that. It's something you can't teach too. It's
Yeah. So just a very present thing that like me and Samira talk about a lot, which is like friendship, where you can like tell if someone was online when they were young, and
oh
there's like
yeah.
a very weird disconnect, even just especially in our age group, because I think a little bit younger than us, most people were online all at similar
Yeah.
times, but it was more staggered for us.
Yeah, elementary school. Oh my God.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that's crazy.
insane, literally
Yeah.
crazy, but I had no friends, so like that was why, and it made sense.
Yeah. Um, because I have friends that don't use social media, and then like I have my best friends from One Direction Twitter, and it's just so
Yeah.
strange to see like I'll send them shit and they're like, what the hell is that? I'm like, it's funny. And they're like, eh.
No, the humor gap is crazy
I
too.
was
Like,
Yeah.
gonna say, I feel like during COVID too, like the younger age group, they had nowhere to go except for online. So I feel like that
that,
generation has
yeah.
like they all have that humor.
No, I feel like we were the last generation to have it where there was such a big difference in who was
Mm-hmm.
online and who wasn't, because now
Mhm.
that's just never gonna happen again. Or maybe it will if the internet like dies, but
There's one more thing that I really wanted to ask about,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's kind of jail.
I know what you're gonna like as soon as you said there's one
Because
thing I
you
really want to ask you about, I'm like, I know what she's gonna
But
ask.
I'm
okay, like
scared.
please can you tell me like did everyone at VidCon and playlists like fuck each other and like get drunk like the whole time? Because like I feel like as a kid watching that I was like I know they're all having sex. Or like
Now,
kissing and playing spin the bottle in the hotel room.
you know what's so fucking funny? Me and my friends, the ones that we go to playlists, they're like, oh, missing playlist live 2014 right now. Like tonight's gonna be like playlist 2015. Like it's gonna
Oh,
be instead of being like it's gonna be a movie, it's gonna be a playlist.
buddy.
That's really funny.
I was like I said, there was like kind of age difference. I was young, so there was like me, like I don't know if you remember like Cy Mike,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
like and then Enya and Drew and all us. I don't remember it clearly, but like that was the group I was associated more with. Like I didn't talk to
Mhm.
all the older people, but like from what I'll tell you, when the first time I ever drank was at a playlist. Like
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel like I figured that because it's like you're young and you're like given this crazy freedom.
that's what it was, especially since I was not allowed this freedom at home, like
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. Like like I would go to this hotel room and it's like, fuck yeah. Like we would like our friend would like, oh my God, we could run all over the hotel room. Like that's why they invited me to play this, because they knew that I would go, because like I get to go crazy for a weekend. And like, yeah, like we would all like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like a party. It was a lot of fun. And then I kind of compare it to like how kids in my school were partying, because like I didn't really do that. So like it was kind of equivalent to that, if that makes sense. But I outside of
Yeah.
like my friend group, I don't really know. I know like, I mean, a lot of influencers date each other.
Yeah.
I got my first
Yeah.
kiss at playlist.
Stop.
Aw.
It was my fucking friend. It's her name's Brie. I don't know if you guys might know who she is. And then I feel like I I don't know. It was I I used to kiss so many people for like photos, and it was like a thing that like people like, oh, can I kiss him? Like, yeah, totally. I probably kissed like over 100 people. I'm like out it like playlist, like I'm a very like shy and like timid girl, but like it wasn't that crazy, but it was
Yeah.
crazy how like it was so much fun. Like
Yeah.
they would like throw parties too, like VidCon would throw a party. And then like I remember like I had like these wristbands, and like we would strip them off and then like give it to the person behind us so we could get in. Why are you in here? And I'd be like, we had like water bottles full of alcohol. They're like, why are you in here? And I'm like, because like I got a pass and Sydney did because like we were members, but like we really want. I mean, like it's not like it was a bar, but it just was like a ballroom, and everyone was kind of just having fun. And there was like DJs. Those were so fun though. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Those are so
That sounds
fun.
so
No, I
fun.
remember seeing all the videos of like the like creator parties and stuff like
That's what it
that.
was. Yeah.
And I was also gonna say, like, I feel like that dynamic, you're going and you're meeting all your internet friends, but also there's like this existing dynamic that's different for just like meeting an internet friend. It's like, oh, this feels like in a weird way, it felt like this is almost like similar to like a college setting
Yeah,
somehow.
that's kind of how it was. It like just kind of felt like, because I didn't go to college. Like I never like did the dorm thing or anything like that. I did community college, and then I pretty much did online. I never like got like that, and I was like, oh wait, I got it with playlists. It's fine. Like we were
Yeah.
all doorways down. No one
Playlist
I knew,
2014.
yeah, no one I knew was fucking. So like, because we were like 15,
Yeah.
but like I'm sure it happened because
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was hot.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
Whatever.
yeah, and everyone was very like-minded too, is the thing. Like I feel like everyone like had this mutual respect as like at least like this is my perception from the outside, but I feel like all creators kind of had that, I
Yeah.
guess, because they had similar humor and like we're
And
just
everyone
funny
was
people.
so nice, like
Aw.
so nice. Like I remember I met Andrea Russet, so nice. I
Oh,
mean,
I love
she
her.
had like, and
Her
then
humor also was really
yes, she was a
good to
YouTuber I
grow.
watched for a
Yes.
while.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
she was so nice to me, like, and I was so young then, and it was just so nice to like see these girls that were so fucking nice. Like, I don't know if you guys like know, Alexa Losey was really nice.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
loved her. And she would like, I don't know, isn't that like that? Okay, that makes sense. Like how I was a little older than you guys. Like that's kind of how it was for
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
they would be like, hey, having fun? Did you go over here? Did you do
Aw.
this? And it was really cute. I'm
Aw.
trying to think of like who else there was. I just remember, oh, like Orion and Sam Faz. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all of them. It was so
Oh
nice
my
to have them.
God.
It kind of felt like having it, like being protected, like having a like an older sister. Like we were always in good situations, which was
Yeah.
key.
Really sweet. It's
It
sweet
was
that that
so
just
important.
gave like inherent like bonds with like these girls too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad had no idea. He would pick me up and be driving home, and I'm like in the back seat, like he's like, and I'm like, yep, because he was very strict on that shit, so
Yeah.
strict, and like he had no idea what went down to those things, and it was just so strange. It was so strange. Those
That's
were the
so
highlights of
funny.
my life, which is like I peaked. It's fine now.
Dude, watching people's like VidCon vlogs was like the highlight of my life when I was younger. So it's like
They like, I know you have to go. Oh my God, the craziest shit. The first playlist I went to was like playlist Orlando, I think. It's on my timeline. February 2015. Nope, that's a lie. Whatever, not the point. They
okay.
rented out Universal Studios.
Yes, no, I
Yeah, I
remember them doing
remember.
that.
That's crazy.
Like
Like,
that's so fun.
oh my
Oh,
God. And they like took a bus, like, and there was no one there. Like, girl, what the hell? That was so fun. Oh my God. Like we were so lucky. Like just because like we grew up with like a One Direction fandom, it was so fun. And like so I got so lucky with the Vine thing because it was so fun, and I feel like it was still kind of brand new, and it's too oversaturated now, I feel like kind of
Yeah.
like
yeah,
too money
definitely.
involved. I feel like they only care about like money. So not them, but like the companies and the people
Yeah.
throwing these things. So it's not the
Mhm.
same, but I'm lucky to have been there. I'm lucky for everything that happened to me, thankfully.
Yeah, it's weird because there's like so many layers to it whenever you like try to explain it of even just thinking about like One Direction specifically, because it's not even just like, oh, their music or oh, they're a band or
Hmm.
whatever. It's like the community aspect of it and the jokes and the humor and the like there's so many pieces of the puzzle that play into it, I feel like.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I know. I can't believe One Direction saved my life. That's insane.
It
Yeah.
is also such a funny thing too of saying that to other people and how it was like a thing to say that when you were younger, but saying that now and like people being like what like they're just a band, but it's like, everything we talked about is like so much beyond that. But also the
Yeah,
band, you
it's
know?
Yeah.
like very hard for some. Like, my boyfriend will be like, "I can't believe like Harry Styles saved your life." I'm like, "I know, that's crazy."
And I wouldn't be here today dating you.
Yeah,
So you
like
should thank him.
Harry Styles
So
wasn't.
you should thank him.
Yeah,
You
I
should
used to
give
have
him a big kiss.
I had I had a big Harry Styles cutout. I still had it until I moved recently. My dog chewed
You
it up.
threw it out?
Dog
Oh,
chewed it up.
his big ass ate the eyes first. He chewed the eyes out.
That's
Anyway,
really
but
funny.
it followed me everywhere. And I remember I was in a work meeting and it was like in the corner.
Oh my
My manager
God.
was like, "Is that a Harry Styles cutout?" And I was like, turn the camera on. She's like, "Okay, I was a fan account too." And I'm like, "This is so awesome." Like my Gen
That
Z boss was a One Direction fan account. This is amazing.
No, my therapist literally was like
Shut
on One
up.
Direction stan Twitter because I was talking to her about the podcast one time and I was like explaining like and I was just like explaining it kind of briefly because I was like, oh, she like is not gonna care. It's like internet culture, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was explaining that it was stan Twitter internet culture and she was freaking out. She was like, oh my God, I was on One Direction stan Twitter. She was like, you have to get like 5 seconds of summer on. You have to get Emblem 3. Like, you can get Emblem 3. I feel like they're not popular anymore. Like
Yeah.
send them an
They came to my
email.
mom. I have to make something very clear. I don't know if you guys remember when the 5 seconds of summer came to like Maryland, which is where I'm from, there was this
Mhm.
concert, and I got so much hate after that concert because everyone said that Acacia Brindley snuck me in and took me backstage with Michael, and I got so much fucking hate. And
That sentence? Like I'm gonna like
Oh my
throw
God,
up right now.
Acacia!
that did not happen. I camped out and I waited, and people were so mean to me that they're like,
Well,
"We
people
snuck in
were
with
so
Michael."
mean to
Dude,
Acacia.
the sentence people were saying that Acacia Brindley snuck me in from the backstage with Michael at the
Like the
5
thumbnail. It's like the title and the thumbnail.
It is so funny.
And I just want to set that very clear. I camped out. Acacia Brilliant did not sneak me in.
You earned your spot.
Yeah.
Michael didn't sneak me in.
And we actually believe you. We believe
Yeah.
women on this
I paid
podcast.
for
True.
Thank you. And
Yes.
I paid for my ticket and I camped out.
You
So
slayed.
suck it. I don't know what to tell you. Everyone just wanted to hate me. It's fine. I remember laughing. Like I never got that much. Like, I mean, I was in the 5 Seconds of Summer fandom, but I was like obviously a
Mm.
One Direction fan. The
Mhm.
5 Seconds of Summer fandom that came after me, I was scared. But then I was
They
like, you
were
know what?
terrifying.
Yeah, I was like, girl, bye. Like, I'm just gonna log off my phone. Like, guess what? You can't hate on me anymore. I'm just gonna exit out of Twitter. Bye, gonna enjoy the concert now. Front row, because of Michael and Keisha Bradley.
Thank you like so much
Oh, this
for
was
this. It
so
was
much
so
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
I forgot like this what I was doing for a second. I just thought, oh, this was so fun. Like any chance to talk about like I wanted to set the 5 Seconds of
You
Summer
needed
because
to say
Yes,
that, so
yes.
you had to come on here
that's
to
the
say
main
that.
platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like no,
We
but
can
you
edit it, or Brittany can edit it, so it's like just that sentence like over and over again every
For
like
an hour
5
and like
minutes in the
yeah.
whole video. So it's like people really
Or we
know.
have it like pop up every 20.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like a
I
sound
love it.
bite kind of thing.
Like,
But
Dude,
anyway,
Acacia, if you see this, please come on the podcast.
oh yes.
please get me into a 5 Seconds Summer
Please.
concert.
Please, can you introduce us to Michael?
Please. Well, I just want to say, you guys are awesome. This was so nice. You guys are so sweet.
Oh,
And
thank
I was
you.
really nervous because I'm a nervous freak, but
No, I get
you
that.
made me feel so comfortable and it was so
Oh,
fun.
we're so
And
glad.
thank you for having me on. That was so fun.
But okay, our one more thing is we have all of our guests do a thing.
Okay.
We hate saying it. We're making everyone request Josh Ovalle.
Request, who?
Josh Ovalle,
Oh,
film
Josh Devaya.
quaker.
Okay. So what do I
So
say?
I'll send the thing in chat. This is kind of like our thing.
No,
Kind
I
of,
think I
yeah.
heard it. I think I told you I listened to Bianca's episode and I heard
Oh,
that.
Oh,
wait,
I
I
didn't
don't
know
think you
that.
did tell us
Oh, I
that. That's
didn't
so
because I was
nice.
trying to prepare. I'm telling you, I was
Aw.
freaking the fuck out. I don't know what my issue is.
No,
No, it like makes so much sense. Talking on this, like, I feel like took a while for us to get used to too. Like,
I'm
I
Yeah.
still
still
don't
not
feel
used to
normal. I
it.
was freaking out
Yeah,
before we got on here. It's still
same.
like just I feel like
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah, so I listened to that and I saw she was like a YouTuber, and then
Mhm.
she was like how she got offline and like took a break. I was like, girl, this is gonna be the same podcast. 'Cause I'm just saying the same shit. I, Savannah Spring, hereby request Josh Ovalle for a collaboration with the Internet is Dead podcast. Please, Josh, be a guest on the podcast. We miss you.
Whenever I watch Claudia Salewski's vlogs and she's doing
Yeah.
like a self-tape or auditioning for something,
Oh,
I
I thought you were
swear
gonna
we
talk about her at the. We bring up Claudia every
Yeah,
episode.
every
Oh,
We're like,
really?
"We're at the
episode.
Billie Eilish concert. I feel just like her."
That's so funny. I love it. She's so
I
cute.
can't help it. I can't help it.
She's a queen.
I
So
say that
much.
I want her to fall when she's rock climbing.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I just can't help it.
You're like, fall.
You said that in the Bianca episode.
Yeah,
You said that she
wait,
was
I
gonna,
did
like,
say that in the Bianca episode.
die or something.
Intrusive thoughts.
I
No,
don't-
I said that I think she's gonna die because her life's really like seems really good. But I don't want her to die. I hope
Oh
she's
my
fine.
God.
I hope she lives a long, beautiful, happy life with Phineas.
She will.